Hello everyone, we're going to make a start. If you're still grabbing some of that amazing food, if I could ask you to come and take a seat. The food will be there for the full hour and we encourage you to just pop across and grab anything at any point. My name's Jessica Griffiths. I'm coordinator of Melbourne Plus, which is the University of Melbourne's co-curricular recognition program. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet and from which we live stream. The Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. And so welcome. Thank you for coming to Investigating Innovation with Melbourne Plus. This is the last event of the week. And what better way perhaps to end the week by coming together and getting down to that just very basic question, what is innovation? Let's not assume that we all think of it in the same way. What we're interested in today are what are the differences between what we think about innovation, what are the nuances, and what can we do with those differences and nuances. I do wonder whether, sitting here today at the end of the week, whether you think any differently about innovation to what you thought at the start of the week. And if at any point over the week, if you've been listening to people talking and you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure if that's innovation to me, perhaps what innovation is to you and what innovation is to someone else is different, and it's in that space in between where there might be something new. And we're hoping that that kind of thing will come out of the conversations today. To set your expectations, today is an interactive session. We won't have a panel up front. We will be asking you to chat with the people around you. So we'll encourage you and guide you through that when we get there. And we will be alternating between some conversations and some innovation insights. We've got some students and some staff from the University of Melbourne who will be sharing with us some of their thoughts on innovation and what it's meant to them, and hopefully that will lead you into new conversations. And so today was inspired by Melbourne Plus and a collaboration that we picked up with Melbourne Connect. Before I go into that too much, I'll just give you a quick intro into Melbourne Plus. So, as I said, it's the university's co-curricular recognition program. It offers all students at the university the opportunity to earn digital credentials that they can pop on their resumes or on their LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn at the moment, you search for hashtag Melbourne Plus, you'll find some of them up there. The digital credentials recognise the capabilities that students develop in opportunities that they get involved in outside the classroom. So the knowledge, the network, the skills, the interests that they develop. And there are 4 capabilities that students can develop, 4 credentials that they can collect over their time at the university. One of those, you'll notice, is in innovation, and that's what brought us here today. As part of the Melbourne Plus process, students, once they complete an opportunity, they're asked to reflect on how did you develop your innovation capability through that experience. And they submit that reflection and they get their credential. One thing that we noticed as we were reading the innovation reflections in particular is students describe innovation in a diversity of ways. There are so many nuances in how students are talking about what innovation means to them. And it got us curious, what do staff think about innovation at the university? What do industry partners here at Melbourne Connect and beyond think about innovation, future employers of these students? What are the differences between the thoughts and what can we do with that? And so we partnered with Melbourne Connect. We reached out to Steve Grimwade, thank you Steve, and his team, Lynette, Nyan, Michael, thank you for working with us. We came to Steve, and we're led by Dr. Catherine Mann, who is sitting in the middle of you there in the yellow. Catherine is Associate Director of Academic Advising at the university, which is another student university strategic initiative that sits alongside Melbourne Plus as part of the Advancing Students in Education strategy. Catherine leads our team. We've got Eileen Kenny, who'll be walking around with a microphone, our communications coordinator, Shasha Ma, who's our program officer, make sure the cogs are turning. So all of us came together. We had a survey put together for this week. Some of you may have answered the survey. If not, you'll have a chance to answer it today. It was a simple question, innovation is, and what I'm going to be going through just in the next 5 minutes or so is what came out of that survey. This is a conversation that we opened up and that has been happening through the week, and I'm excited to share with you today what came out of that conversation, and we will continue it together in this hour. Okay. So the Innovation is survey responses, we had 5 groups of people responding. Large groups were students, always good to hear primarily from what the students are thinking, so that was the orange one. A lot of university professional staff responding. We had 12% there from the industry partners here at Melbourne Connect, and some insight from general public and academic staff, so a good range. The survey was running for 2 weeks prior to Innovation Week, and then throughout the week we had a lot of answers leading up to this week, and then a few as the week went on. I want to call out that yellow bit. 23% of the data that we've put together to open this conversation up about what innovation is, 23% were pulled from Melbourne Plus student reflections. So where students were using the phrase innovation is, we pulled them out. And there is, as I said, there's a huge diversity of descriptions just in that 23%, much more diverse than in the other, I have to say. And that probably because they were answering that question within the context of a reflection on their own personal experience, a little bit different to the survey responses. But we'll be calling out the differences and in what that shows us, so how we can think about that. Always good to start with the word cloud. This was from all the answers from the survey, and I liked the way that it just leads into it. The biggest ones there in the middle, creating new process things, products. Of course, that's going to be the biggest. That's a dictionary definition, pretty much, of innovation. But then we can see other things sort of just on the edges of that. We've got existing ways and we've got better ways. There's a sense of improvement. A little bit down underneath, we've got problem, finding solutions, creativity. So we're responding to problems, we're finding solutions as a functional aspect to the improvement that we're doing through innovation. This is just a nice, neat way of moving into what came out of the survey for us. We had 6 themes, and that basically covers the first 2, dictionary definition type stuff, and it's the other 4 themes where we start to see some of the differences and the nuances in what everyone around us thinks about innovation. So theme 1 that came out of the survey was innovation is creative. It is about creating new things. Comes from the Latin root verb meaning to renew or to change. So interestingly, it's not about creating something in the first place, perhaps, by that definition, but changing what is already there and improving it. So new was often matched with improving. Make something new in order to improve something. Often outcome focused. This third one was taken from the student reflections. What happens when we're improving and we're making something new, we learn, but that's much more process focused. A lot of the student reflections were looking at innovation as a process, whereas a lot of the survey responses were innovation is an outcome. Innovation is functional, so why are we improving? To find solutions to problems in creative ways. There was a lot of use of the word apply. We're applying it. We're doing something in order to apply it. We have to put it out there. We have to move practice forward. There's a reason for doing innovation. Again, the student reflection was more focused on the process. What are we doing as we work towards finding solutions with the way that we're thinking about how to get to those solutions? Thinking holistically about user needs. There was a lot in there about market differentiation. We innovate so that we can make better products and services so we can stand out in the market. It's essential to the market function. That's perhaps one reason why innovation is a buzzword, is important at the moment, because it's needed for market differentiation. Third theme, innovation is collaborative. This one was much, much more prominent in the student reflections, again, and process-oriented rather than outcome-oriented. It's about leveraging perspective skills, being open to feedback. Innovation is being open to feedback. But that was an interesting way of thinking about it, different perspective. And that third one came from the survey, drawing different things together. So can we be innovative without being collaborative? That was a question that came up for me. Is innovation always collaborative? Innovation is exciting. Again, very prominent in the student reflections. There was some really great, strong language. Things like innovation is the lifeblood, innovation is the driving force, embracing change, adapting rapidly, willingness to take risks, these exciting sort of sentiments. And the first one there came from the survey, very straightforward. It's exciting, it's highly motivating, a break from the norm. And there were a fair few responses to the survey that innovation is just exciting, innovation is just cool. So that's a good theme by itself. We're up to number 5, innovation is beneficial. So this is a broader imperative towards why we innovate. Another why, but a broader picture. What it does for the global community. Benefits humanity. Does things for us ethically, sustainably, economically, socially. And it is about solving problems for others. So it's an outward-focused answer to why we innovate. Final theme. Innovation is not, there are a lot of responses that innovation is not this. I'll put the question out there, is that avoiding the question? It's good to think about what it is not so that we can come around to what it is. But there were some good ones to think about here. It's not the same as technology. It's not the same as an invention. It's not the first one, it's the changes afterwards. It's not just the end product, it's the process. It's not something that complicates, it improves, it moves us forward, makes things easier. Okay, so they were the 6 groups of ideas that came out of the survey for us. Now that's quite a lot to have gone through. There will be little bits of that back up on the screen later. And we will continue to collect the data from this survey, and we hope to do more with it as part of our collaboration. But what we want to do today is give you all the opportunity to talk amongst yourselves about what you think innovation is, and in particular what you can take away from that conversation. If there are any new ideas or any new collaborations or action points that can come out of your conversation today, we've done our job. We are going to have, as I said, we're going to be alternating between some conversation time and some innovation insight folks. I'll briefly introduce them now, and they will stand up over the hour and tell us their thoughts. We're going to hear from Mantilla Ranatunga, who is a student at the University of Melbourne, has been leading, until last week when they had their AGM, has been leading the Melbourne University Electrical Engineering Club, who do fantastic events around innovation. Caitlin Kane, Bachelor of Science, who again is leading something very different, a different area of innovation, teaching and journal contribution and writing, an interesting context to think about innovation. And we'll have Becca King, who is a staff member at the university, works with Telstra, will be telling us a bit about what happens in innovation in her area. So they'll pop up at different points. I'm going to first ask, actually, Mantilla, who's down the front, if we could have a microphone over to Mantilla. I encourage you to address everyone, and then we'll move into some conversation.
So, hi everyone, my name is Mantilla, and I was the president of the Melbourne University Electrical Engineering Club. So like Jessica said, we had our AGM last week, so I'm the outgoing president. So we are a student-run club, and I'm going to talk about 2 specific events that are more focused around innovation that we do. So they are WhatHack and SuperHack. So I'll talk about WhatHack first. So it is an engineering hackathon. So a traditional hackathon, for those who don't know what it is it's a competition where students work in teams to build a software device, like a software prototype. But an engineering hackathon, or a makeathon, which is what WhatHack is, the students build a physical device. So they had to use electronic and mechanical components to make some kind of device around the theme, which this year for WhatHack that we held in June, it was wearable tech. But the twist with WhatHack is that you had to use electronic waste to build your device. So as a committee, we sourced electronic waste, so things like old printers and old telephones from recycling companies around Melbourne. And we took it apart for all the useful stuff, and then the students had to use that to build their devices. So the winning team this year built this fitness tracker where they had sensors all over the body, and you could do exercises like push-ups, sit-ups, squats, lunges, and the tracker would track all of that and recognize what kind of exercise you're doing, and that would sync to the screen where a game character would do those exercises at the same time as you. So an engineer's perspective on innovation, because an engineer has the technical skills and the knowledge to create things, when we're solving problems, when you're coming up with a solution to solve problems, we have a gauge to understand how difficult that solution might be to make or how much work it requires. And we also, depending on the discipline and the relevant technical skills, we kind of have an idea of how to go about making that solution. And in a competition like WATAC, where there's very limited time, there's not that much time to plan, so it's just rapid building, and because of that, you don't have the time to analyze risks or anything, so you take those risks and see what works and what doesn't, and you adapt as you go. So that's that. And the second event is Super Hack. So Super Hack is similar to WATAC in that it's a makeathon, but this is not targeted towards engineering students. This is targeted specifically for female and non-binary students in high school in years 10 and 11. And this is just to promote engineering or promote gender diversity in engineering. So we reach out to high schools all around Victoria, and then we contact them, and we bring them over here to UniMelb, and then they participate in a makeathon. So last year we held Super Hack at the end of last year, and then we're going to hold it again at the end of this year. And because those high school students, they don't know about electronics, some of them haven't even heard of the word engineering before, we basically had to teach them everything from scratch during the event. And to help with that, we have university students acting as mentors for each teams, and those mentors are also trained up by us, like by our club. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Mantilla, for that insight into some great stuff that students are leading around innovation in the engineering space and mentoring others to come through and start innovating their own things. That's fantastic. We're going to see how this goes. I'd like to encourage everyone to have a look at the folks around you. Don't be afraid. Say hello. See if you can make, even if it's a pair or small group, what we'd like you to ask each other, have a quick discussion about that basic question for you. What is innovation for you? Those themes that we went through that came out of the survey, do any of them stand out to you? Are they relevant to you? Do you disagree with any of them? Or what are your thoughts on what innovation is not? Is it avoiding the question, or do you have a clear idea of what it's not? Ask someone the question. We'll give you a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so. We'll see how we're going, and then we'll come back together. Lots of good conversations in the room. That's really great. We are going to lead into our next conversation with each other with the help of Caitlin. So I'll hand over to Caitlin to talk about innovation.
Hi everyone, my name's Caitlin. I am a Bachelor of Science student studying my honours at the moment. So in the day-to-day, what I'm doing is I'm at the Women's Hospital. I do epidemiology projects, so a little bit of science and innovation stuff there. But today I wanted to talk to you about two things that I'm involved in on campus. It's really great opportunities all around campus to get involved in things, learn different skills outside of your degree. So the first one to talk about today is OmniSci magazine. Like Mantilla, I'm an outgoing president, had our AGM last week as well. So still a little bit involved helping with the transition and everything. But for the last year, I've been president of a student club where we have students come in and they write, they edit, and they do design for articles, and we release an issue each semester. Having students come in and do writing, it's something that I did when I first started to get involved. I did writing and editing. It really, maybe for some people it seems like a kind of offshoot of innovation. Yes, it's creative, but is it innovative? For me, it feels so within the same realm. It's the same skill set to start with a blank page, to look at it, to think, how am I going to communicate this idea I have to the stakeholder? How am I going to get buy-in? How am I going to make this engaging? How am I going to solve the problem and release this? And to come out with, like, from my perspective as president, it is like an end product that we can share with people and have around is really important. I think that it highlights the creative element of innovation, the ability to understand the people who are going to use your product or innovation, the space that you're working in, and being able to pull a story together that actually gets people engaged and buying into it. So for me, that all feels very much related, but I know for some people it's a little different to what they normally do. That's eligible for the innovation credential for Melbourne Plus as well. So for students, if you want to get involved. And then another thing I do on campus is the VC Summer School, which I think was mentioned previously. So this is a summer school. It's 2 weeks. We have high school students, mainly from disadvantaged backgrounds, come to the uni and get a bit of a head start before they move into year 11 and 12. It's all volunteer run, so we have a few hundred university students come on campus, running around doing classes, but they're also doing all sorts of other creative things to make it as fun and engaging as possible. One of those is a zine, so we have a daily zine that comes out with communications and designs, trying to find interesting ways to get information out to people, to get them engaged, to get students bonding. One that I was quite involved in was the events team. So for me, events is like a innovation home. Like, they feel so intertwined to me. We had to come up with ways to keep a bunch of 16, 17-year-old kids entertained, to get them talking to each other, stop using their phones, to get them really involved in making the best possible making the most of the opportunity. So that was really exciting. We ran all sorts of things, barbecues, trivia, scavenger hunts, and all of the ideas and activities we had to come up with and work out ways to communicate them to the volunteers who would be running them, work out ways to use all of the equipment and stuff that we have. You can't just invent an extra room on campus to run the perfect event in. So you have to get creative, you have to innovate. And I think that there's all sorts of opportunities in there, but hopefully that's given you guys a few ideas of different ways that innovation can come up or different ways that innovation can get applied. I definitely think that, you know, with writing and creating and events and stuff, those are the same sort of skills that I will use in my studies. If I'm thinking of an experiment or a different way to approach a problem, it's the same skills, starting with a blank page, thinking about how I can apply it, how I can think about the stakeholders, how I can think about the limitations that I'm working with. So yeah, that's innovation for me.
Thank you, Caitlin, for giving us a different perspective on an innovation context. And that's going to lead us into our next round of conversations. You're welcome to turn to the same people or find someone new. In these ones, what we're interested in, what are the qualities of an innovator? So looking at some of the questions here, what qualities do you consider a capable innovator to have? Caitlin just talked about some of the skills that she sees as being necessary to make events engaging. What are the skills there, and is that innovation? What are some of the tangible examples of innovation that you have encountered? So bringing your background into this, how does an individual learn to be a capable innovator? And we're moving the conversation here towards Melbourne Plus, where we're wanting students to develop their innovation capability. So just getting you to think a bit about what are the qualities of an innovator, what are some examples that you've seen, and how does one learn to be a better innovator? Do you think you're a good innovator? How could you improve? I'll leave you with that.
Hello, I'm Becca King. I am the Telstra Partnership Manager here in the Faculty of Engineering and IT. And, you know, when Jess had asked me to speak today and asked what innovation is, I immediately thought technology, which I think is what was not supposed to be what innovation is. And I think it's because working with Telstra, I mean, I think most of us probably think of it as a telecommunications company. And having worked with them now for the last few months, I've really realized they're a tech innovator. They do a lot of really great projects here with students at the university, as well as academic research. And so I think that's probably why my mind went there to begin with. But then I thought about it and had a few conversations, and what I think innovation is expanding your knowledge. It's putting yourself out of your comfort zone. I think it's meeting new people, coming to things like this. It's trying new things. And going back to when I was in college, when I was a student, I remember thinking I had friends that knew exactly what they wanted to do. They were civil engineers that knew exactly their pathway, or they were studying to be midwives, and they had a very direct pathway. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And they all had passions, and I felt like I don't have a passion. I'm not interested in anything like they're interested in it. And so I think I just went along to things, and I didn't find it when I was in college. I graduated, I moved to a new city, and I thought, I like to run, so I'm going to join a marathon training program. And that kind of opened my world to start with, because I didn't know anybody. I put myself out there. I met a ton of people, and that led to other opportunities. I realized, I started traveling with people, and then I learned a new language, and I just felt like that's kind of what innovation is on a personal level, is just continuously improving yourself. And I think every, few years I try to do something new and continue to do something new. And right now, I guess what I'm trying to do is the Telstra Creator Space. So for those of you who are students, staff members, everybody has access to the Telstra Creator Space. That's at the ground floor of this building. And I plan to, I'm not really an engineer. I say I'm a budding engineer now, because I'm going to go and try and make some, Christmas gifts and a little trophy, and try to, who knows who I might meet and what opportunities might lead from that. And then I think as a student, I would say do that too, or a staff member. And if you're interested, contact me. Come with me. You can join me on it. And if you're a student, do those things, or come to the FATE Hackathon Festival, which is coming up in a couple weeks. You might not know what a hackathon is. That's okay. That's what it's there for. Come, you learn. You might hate it. You might love it, but you might also meet your next best friend, or your next partner, or your, somebody who's going to give you a job in 5 years' time. So I think trying those new things, and you get a Melbourne Plus certificate with the sustainability focus, whatever that is. And that looks great on resumes. It looks good on LinkedIn. So I would encourage all of you to branch out, try new things, put yourself out of your comfort zone. And that, to me, is what innovation is. There you go.
Thank you, Becca. That was a nice third perspective. What is innovation within ourselves as individuals? That's going to take us into our final little period of conversation. Thinking more about that personal perspective, we think about all the students at the University of Melbourne. If we want them to be developing themselves as innovators, what, from your perspective, again, you may be industry partners, you may be staff members, what sort of innovation capabilities would you like to see in the university's graduates? What current opportunities exist for students to develop innovation? So the Hackathon Festival that Becca mentioned is one of them. But what else is out there that we could offer students to develop more innovators? Yes, and what opportunities could you develop that help students? Or how could you work with each other to develop new things? I'll leave you with those questions, and then we'll come together and close after this. I can see people have gotten more comfortable over the hour. The seating postures have changed. People have relaxed more into conversation, which is really nice to see. We've only got a minute or so left. I did want to share, I had 4 out of 4 very interesting conversations, and I wanted to call out one. I spoke to Christina here, who is actually an innovation consultant and goes into companies and helps them bring innovation into their everyday practice. And I asked to that second conversation, how do you help people be better innovators in their company or organisation? And the answer was, we start by talking like this. We start with discussion. That's the first point for Christina to creating, to helping people become better innovators. So that was nice. I thought that was a good point to bring it all together on. I do hope that some of the conversations you've had today have some takeaways for you. Some action will come out of it. That's the idea, but we've started with conversation. I was just going to give another little plug to the Engineering Hackathon. And just to identify that the students who participate do get a Melbourne Plus digital credential in sustainability advocacy, even though it's very much innovative thinking that they're working through, but it's in the context of developing more sustainable solutions to particular problems. So that's a good one coming up for students. And there are lots of other things students can do on the Melbourne Plus catalogue for students and staff. There's a catalogue there to explore, over 100 different things to get recognised. And I think that brings us to the end. If you have any questions about Melbourne Plus or any ideas you'd like to discuss, please do reach out. I hope some of you can stay in touch after your conversations today, and thank you for participating and interacting. It's been great. Thank you. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you.